Hello and welcome back to Football Daily. Today we're running through our 11 of the strangest transfers to have happened this summer. Goalkeeper, Scott Carson. Continuing something of a trend in recent years, following Manchester United signing Lee Grant and Chelsea picking up Rob Green, Manchester City have signed their own old-aged English goalkeeper in Scott Carson. The 33-year-old has joined the Premier League champions on a season-long loan from Derby County. Premier League squad requirements mean that clubs must have a minimum of 8 homegrown players, which scuppered Pep Guardiola's original plan to sign former Real Sociedad goalkeeper Asier Risco. The 35-year-old would have taken up one of the crucial 17 foreign spots in City's squad. Unnecessary seeing as the third-choice goalkeeper rarely makes the bench, let alone gets on the pitch. Carson obviously qualifies as homegrown, making his debut for Leeds United back in 2004, and his career has seen him represent clubs including Liverpool, West Brom, Wigan and Bursaspor in Turkey. Often remembered for his performance in that England game against Croatia back in 2007, Carson had made 171 appearances for Derby since 2015, but started this campaign as second choice. This provided him with the opportunity to win his first piece of major silverware since the Champions League in 2005. Before we move on, if you're enjoying this video, please do subscribe to the channel for more great content. Defender, João Cancelo. In this instance, it's not so much João Cancelo joining Manchester City, as he clearly improves the squad, but it's more the deal as a whole. The Portuguese international joined his fourth club in the last 4 seasons, with the citizens paying Juventus £60 million for his services, whilst the Italian champions in return paid £34 million to bring Danilo to Turin. The 25-year-old has signed a 6-year deal at the Etihad just a year after Juventus signed him for £35 million, and Juve had to beat Inter Milan to his signature, with Cancelo having just spent the season on loan at the San Siro from Valencia. So despite Maurizio Sarri bringing in Danilo in the deal as a direct replacement, the club made a loss and ended up with a worse player 3 years Cancelo senior. City fans are rightfully delighted with his signing, as he is set to challenge Kyle Walker for the right-back spot, despite the Englishman signing a contract extension in the summer. As for Juventus, Sarri's decision-making this window has definitely raised some eyebrows. Defender, Abdou Diallo. It's not a case of Diallo not deserving a move to PSG after an impressive debut season at Borussia Dortmund, but that this transfer came out of nowhere and left a lot of football fans scratching their heads. The Frenchman only joined the ranks at Dortmund the previous summer, and not for a small fee, with BVB having to pay Mainz €28 million to sign the now 23-year-old. Fast forward 12 months though, and Diallo now dons the red and blue of Thomas Tuchel's men, costing the Qatari owners about €32 million, barely a 10% profit on a player who displayed his burgeoning talent last campaign. In 28 Bundesliga appearances, he split his time between left-back and centre-back, making 2.2 tackles and interceptions a match, as well as completing 90% of his 65 passes every game. Equally as bizarre was Dortmund's decision to splash almost all that cash on re-signing Matt Hummels from Bayern Munich, who experienced a major down year in 2018-19. An adaptable youngster who could develop into a great centre-back, or one in the twilight of his career, whose season could go either way. We know who we'd pick. Defender, David Luiz. This transfer came out of nowhere, with rumours only emerging from David Ornstein the day before deadline day. While it's no secret Arsenal had been in the market for a new centre-back, especially following Koscielny's departure, the names being linked with Arsenal were RB Leipzig's Upamecano and Juventus's Daniel Regani. In the end, for just £8 million, Arsenal picked up an experienced centre-back who's won the Champions League, Premier League, Europa League and FA Cup in David Luiz. Let's also not forget that Chelsea's transfer ban runs until next summer, so you'd think they'd not want to sell on the cheap. It seems a strange move then from Lampard to let a starter go to London rivals Arsenal. For Arsenal, it's great business. Regardless of Luiz's error-prone past, he's an upgrade on Mustafi and shores up a defence that needed tightening. For Chelsea, after a 4-0 drubbing against Manchester United and a less than convincing performance against Leicester, fans are already starting to question the wisdom of this sale. Defender, Kieran Trippier. While seeing Brits play football abroad isn't anything new, especially with the emergence of Jadon Sancho at Borussia Dortmund and Reiss Nelson's successful loan spell with Hoffenheim, it is still a novelty to see a player in their prime years make the switch to the continent. Not since Gareth Bale has a player made a move to sunnier climes, and it certainly took most by surprise when Kieran Trippier also transferred to the Spanish capital. The 28-year-old stock had never been higher following his stand-up performances for England at the World Cup in Russia a year ago, but a string of defensive errors saw his position for Spurs called into question. So when Atletico Madrid came in for the tune of £20 million for the right-back, despite having no clear backup, Mauricio Pochettino allowed Trippier to move on. From one Argentinian coach to another in Diego Simeone, Trippier now finds himself as part of one of the tightest defences in Europe. Although this campaign will be very much an unknown quantity, as 3/4 of the back line from last season have moved on. Choosing the same number as David Beckham did upon joining Real, the Berry Beckham now has the opportunity to provide a similar impact in La Liga. Midfielder, Ivan Perisic. By no means have Bayern Munich had a bad transfer window, spending €150 million on Lucas Hernandez and Benjamin Pavard to bolster an already impressive back line. Going further up the pitch though, the release of Frank Ribery and Arjen Robben has, despite almost aging out, left a lot to be desired in their wide areas. Signing the Croatian as a replacement though, definitely came out of the blue. It was no secret that Perisic wanted out of Inter Milan, demanding a transfer in January 2019 as he was linked with a move to the Premier League. But the Croatia international instead returned to the Bundesliga where he's already experienced success, winning the competition with Dortmund in 2012. The former Wolfsburg man has also won the Pokal with both of his previous German clubs. Perisic is now 30 years old and entering the twilight of his career, coming off a season where he had 11 goal contributions, his lowest since his last campaign with Wolfsburg, notching up just 9, although he did make 9 fewer starts. Bayern have paid €5 million to take him for the season with the option to buy next summer. If Kovac takes up that option, he could very well feature on this list again in August 2020. Midfielder, Nabil Fekir. This time last year, Nabil Fekir was on the verge of joining Liverpool in a deal potentially worth upwards of €50 million, until the deal collapsed at the 11th hour. Rumours were that it fell through due to the Frenchman's injury record, although doctors did confirm that he was in no worse shape than any individual to have suffered an ACL tear, evidenced by playing a full campaign last year with Lyon. This summer though, Fekir did get his move, although not to the calibre of side many anticipated him to. The World Cup winner pitched up at Real Betis for an initial fee of around €18 million, a huge drop-off from the figure Liverpool were being quoted. The Green and White signed the attacking midfielder as a preemptive replacement for Giovanni Lo Celso, who eventually moved on to Spurs on a season-long loan earlier this month. Being a starter for a side who qualified for the Champions League to one that won't see any continental football this season is a questionable decision, although money does talk. Fekir will reportedly be earning almost double in Seville than he did in Lyon, as well as having the opportunity to be the centrepiece of a side that looks to push for European competition this campaign. Midfielder, Danilo De Rossi. To call Danilo De Rossi a Roma legend is an understatement. Rome born and bred, the former captain is second to only long-term teammate Francesco Totti in the pantheon of Giallo Rossi greats. So it came as a shock when after 18 years and over 600 appearances, the club announced they wouldn't be renewing the 36-year-old's contract, and for the first time in his career, De Rossi would become a free agent. Already a known admirer of Argentine giants Boca Juniors, speculation was rife amongst fans that the World Cup winner would cross the Atlantic to play for them, especially as the club's sporting director, Nicolas Bediso, shared the pitch with De Rossi for 5 seasons. After rejecting the opportunity to stay at Roma in a boardroom capacity, the midfielder made it official. He was moving to South America. Whilst you can envisage a link between the De Rossi mentality and the Boca Juniors ethos, nobody seriously anticipated the 117-capped international to almost certainly end his career in Argentina. And what better way for the iconic player to kick-start his spell at Boca than with a goal on his debut? You just know the fans love him already. Midfielder, Malcom. Just 1 year ago, Malcom secured a move to Spanish giants Barcelona following a breakthrough season at Bordeaux, in which he scored 20 goals in all competitions. At the end of the 2017-18 season, he became one of the most coveted young wingers in Europe, with interest emerging from Spurs, Arsenal, Inter and Roma. A deal had even been reportedly agreed with the latter for $32 million before Barcelona swooped in late and made Malcom's boyhood dream come true. Fast forward to the present, and after 1 season in Catalonia, Malcom only made 24 appearances and started just 6 times in the league after struggling to impress over Coutinho or Dembele for a consistent starting spot. This summer they've sold him to Zenit St. Petersburg and have somehow even made a slight profit on the young Brazilian. Had he gone to Roma and started more games, this could have been a very different story, but it isn't, and he is off to Russia to rebuild his game. The 22-year-old will find himself playing in a side aiming to defend their league title whilst also trying to compete in the Champions League group stages. No doubt he'll be given more of a chance to shine than he was with Barca, in the hope that he can find his way back to a top team in Europe's top 5 leagues. Forward, Romelu Lukaku. Only 2 years ago, Romelu Lukaku became Manchester United's record signing for £75 million. The Belgian international scored 27 goals in his first season and 15 in his second, which is more than Marcus Rashford's highest tally of 13. In fact, even current manager Ole Gunnar Solskjaer only managed a career high of 25 in his 11 seasons at the club. Since 2012, Lukaku scored 113 league goals, third only to Harry Kane and Sergio Aguero. Yes, we know most of those came during his stints at Everton and West Brom, but it proves he had an eye for goal. However, it became clear Solskjaer didn't factor Lukaku into his plans, and in the striker's desperation to leave, he ended up refusing to train and was pictured at former club Anderlecht in full kit. Without Lukaku, Rashford is most likely to be the first choice centre-forward, and it will be his first full campaign being deployed in that position. If he doesn't hit the ground running, there's every chance that come December, people will start to think United were foolish to let Lukaku leave after only 2 years at the club. Forward, Kean. The final transfer on our list is Moise Kean's permanent move to Everton from Juventus for around £27.5 million. The 18-year-old showed serious potential at Juve last season, scoring 6 goals in 20 shots from a meagre 536 minutes, which is a conversion rate of 30% and a goal every 89 minutes. Though he spent much of last season on the bench behind Cristiano Ronaldo and Mario Mandzukic, when he was given the chance he shined. When an injury to Ronaldo left him sidelined for 3 games, Kean took his place and scored in each match. He also became the youngest player to score for Italy in a competitive game when they beat Finland 2-0, and it seemed like Juve had a serious player on their hands. However, with the arrival of Maurizio Sarri, Kean has been sold. We know from his time at Chelsea, Sarri hasn't got a solid track record for playing youngsters, having regularly faced criticism for not giving enough minutes to Callum Hudson-Odoi or Ruben Loftus-Cheek. Maybe this had some part to play in the decision to let Kean leave, but surely a loan move would have made more sense. That way Kean would still be in their books and could have gone to a club that would have given the minutes he needed to thrive regardless. And that's our XI of the weirdest transfers to have happened this summer. If there's any players we're missing, let us know in the comments. And if you've enjoyed this video, please do like and subscribe to the channel for more great content. Bye for now.